Hey! What up, upstate South Carolina? Rob Brown's back. How we doing? Let's crank this thing to 11. Let's get loud. Let's make some noise, y'all. Happy Wednesday afternoon, America. It is great to be back with you once again. How do you do? Spectacular to be back in the air chair with you after a nice, long, rejuvenating, relaxing vacation down in La Republic. I forgot how to say it. Dominican Republic. How y'all doing? What's happening? Hi, Lonzo.
There he is.
How you doing, buddy?
There he is. I missed the loudness. I did. I absolutely did.
Said no one ever.
I'm a little disappointed in one thing though. I thought your tan would be darker.
I'm Irish, dude. This is it.
It's like your face almost looks pale under there. So
it's pink under the jersey, for the record.
Okay, all right.
It's good and red.
I thought it was supposed to be sunny there, but maybe I was.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Was it? The pictures looked awesome that you posted.
The Scotch Irish kid in me has 3 stages of being in the sun, right? There's ghost white pale, sunburnt, and then peeled to be ghost white pale again. I am in stage 2 right now. I'm recovering from the burn. This is as dark as I get. I will peel over. I'll start peeling on probably Friday. I'll be uncomfortable during the weekend, and then I'll be back to the same Casper-ass looking dude you know me as next Monday. But I will tell you, had a phenomenal time off with a lady friend down in La República Dominica. Fantastic time on the beach. Spent some time. Do you know how good life is, Zoe, when there are 5 buildings, each of which has a different themed buffet, and you can just go whatever you want? I know how good it is. It's exactly 10 pounds worth of good. I put on 10 pounds in 5.5 days.
It's all right. You can work that off. That's what vacation's for. I mean, you're talking about themes here. Was it American food? What kind of food was it?
Oh, there was a beach bar that had like seafood options. There was a Mexican Caribbean bar. We did not 1 but 2 different steakhouses for dinner. So the second to last night we were there. The second to last night that we were there, we hit up a steakhouse, and the guy comes around. He's like, "What can I get you?" And I said, "I'm going to need the prime rib," which was like 16 ounces of prime rib. And also, I'm going to need the assorted grilled meats platter.
Ah, the assorted grilled. Yes.
Half a chicken, a Spanish sausage that I couldn't tell you what it was.
Was it spicy?
A pork chop. It had a little kick to it. A pork chop, and there were like 2 or 3 other things on it. So I order these 2 things, and the guy looks at me. And he says, "Sir, this is for just you." Sí, amigo. Yes, it is. So he brings them both out, and he sets them down. And, I mean, both plates are like the size of a basketball. And I'm talking both around and tall. He sets both plates out in front of me, and he goes, "Good luck," and walks away. So I, because again, am on vacation, eat both plates, make myself feel absolutely miserable.
Did you get a sticker or a t-shirt or anything?
No.
For that? Okay.
You know what I got? When I'm done and the guy comes back to clear the table before dessert, I got a literal pat on the back, and the guy going, "El Niño Grande." He said he's a big boy in Spanish. Damn right I am.
Did you get meat sweats?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. all
I
right.
was miserable for about 5 hours, right? We did dinner at, I think, 7:15. At about 11:45, I'm laying in my, like, on my back in bed because I can't lay on my front or on the side because it just feels like my gut is going to pull me into a black hole if I do that. By 11:30, I'm like, all right, I think I can sleep now.
So
Vacation's awesome.
was this frowned upon or encouraged by the rest of the table?
I think the lady friend was looking at me with the look that says, every bite that you take is one less year we get to spend together before you die. And she wasn't wrong for it. But I will also tell you that at the pool, because we stayed in one resort and there was like 4 resorts all connected, right? Each resort branch had its own pool. And then you could walk past the pool to get to the beach. So the first 2 days we spent on the beach. Yeah. Now I will admit that I'm kind of spoiled. I come from the beaches of Destin, Florida. I think Destin has the most beautiful beaches in the United States of America. Emerald green water, sugar white sand. I grew up spoiled. So we go to the beach and I'm like, it's all right. It's all right. My beach is better, but that's cool. I'm on a beach. I'm on a beach in the Caribbean.
Wow, you're a beach snob.
Oh, 100%. That is one area of my life I will tell you, not facetiously, I'm a snob. It takes a damn good beach to beat the beach I grew up on. But the one thing they did have is that about 20 feet from the water was a full-service bar. And when you walk up with the little bracelet on that says I'm staying at this resort, you can just have whatever you want. And we found out on day 1 that if you bring them a Yeti, we brought our Yetis with us. If you bring them a Yeti, they'll fill that SOB up to the top and they don't care.
That's wild because DA just had a rejoin that was talking about that, and I didn't know what that was. One of his guys that stayed at an exclusive place.
Oh yeah.
So that's a normal thing.
So we started with Dominican beer, El Presidente Especial. And you can just bring a Yeti. We the lady friend and I both had like 32-ounce Yetis, and they would just fill that bad boy to the top. So it started with a couple of beers, and then I was like, you know what? Let's try a little pina colada action, right? I'm on the beach in the Dominican, but to feel like I'm a Beach Boys song, let me get a pina to the top. Filled those bad boys up.
Do those things do you taste the other thing when you put that in there?
They take the Yeti every time. They rinse it out for you.
Oh,
they take a
okay.
towel and dry it out for you.
All right, look at that.
Halfway through, I literally told the lady friend, I'm going to tell this story to Lonzo, and the 1%er jokes are never going to stop. They weren't anyway, but now they're certainly not. They would rinse it out for you, grab a towel, be like, what's the bartender from Cheers? Like the main bartender?
Sam?
Ted Danson. Yeah.
Sam, yeah.
Dry that Yeti out for you. Look at it. Make sure there's no liquid left. Then they would hand pour the pina colada, right? And you go back 20 feet. You're back at your beach chair, right? Then we go to the pool. Here's the amazing part where I lost my absolute mind. There's a swim up bar in the pool. Lonzo, you didn't even have to get out of the pool to get a drink. You just swim right up to the bar. You're in the pool. Waist deep water, set the Yeti up there. They'll make you the drink. You turn around, you walk through the pool right back over to your to your group. Did that for all the days that I was there.
So eating and waiting a half hour, not the same. You can just drink whatever you want.
You have to get out of the pool.
You don't have to worry about cramps. I'm just
They got guys walking around the side of the pool that you can be like, hey, can I get a cheeseburger? 4 minutes later, they're right back with a cheeseburger.
Wow.
In the pool.
What? You eat a cheeseburger in
the pool?
Why would you do that?
You know why?
Because
you can.
Yeah, okay.
Because you can. In my life, I've been to 1,000 pool parties. Nobody has ever walked up to me and went, here's your 32-ounce pina colada, and here's a cheeseburger. No. Don't worry about getting out. We built chairs into the pool for you to sit on and drink and eat. Amazing. So anyway, suffice to say, I'm back. rejuvenated, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, you come back here and it's like, oh, I'm back, right? I mean, after all that luxury and being treated that way, I mean, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to need all of you to just cater to me all the time, please, and thank you. Keegan said if Rob cut himself, it would just glob out, not bleed. That's you're probably not far from the truth. Let me put it this way. The lady friend and I both, we both lost, 12, 15 pounds before we went on vacation, you know? I put 10.25 of them back on in 6 days. And we both were like, all right, let's go on vacation. We're going to do whatever we want. Eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, go bananas. And when we get back, we'll like hardcore diet to get those 20, 30 back off.
You mean you're not putting your winter weight on a little early to prepare for the harsh winters that we get here in South Carolina?
I got to cut, all right? I got to cut, like UFC style, got to cut. Except for the problem is I went 6 days with whatever you want available whenever you want it. To now enjoy your grilled chicken breast with no seasoning and microwaved spinach, fat boy.
Well, you can feel free to do some cardio during the breaks. I'm sure the listening audience would love to see that happen.
So if I walked around this building one time, I will sweat like a hooker in church.
I just want you to do cardio because I know whose office is right below us.
Yeah, and I'll shake the room. That is a fact.
You might knock that Iron Man thing off that might be bad though. You don't want to do that.
And by the way, while I'm at it, bragging about how great my life is at the moment, because it is. It got made official literally the day before I left town. Your boy's got 2 more years here in the GVL. We have re-upped. Rob Brown remains host of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate for another couple of years. Sorry, haters, but your boy's not done yet, which means Zoe and I are going to put the back-to-back Crystal trophies onto the trophy case.
I thought you were going to say that I would still be here, but, I'm eternal. So
you're not going anywhere. You're Lonzo. But now we know I get to stick around for a couple as well.
Let the loud continue.
Yes, indeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it. Welcome to the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob. He is the great one, Lonzo. We are glad to have you. 3-day work week. Fine, because I need a vacation. Let's get into some stuff, shall we? Let's talk some sports. Let's have a little fun here on the radio broadcast. A couple of things that I want to get into today. I don't want to. I will not spend more than a few minutes on it. Clip number 1, when you get a minute, Lonzo, is Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the National Football League. This audio comes to us courtesy of ESPN. Last week, while I was in the Dominican, it broke, as I told you that it would before I left, that the National Football League is going to appeal Judge Sue Robinson's 6-game suspension of Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. I told you last Tuesday before I left that appeal would come down on, I believe, Thursday, which was the last day to do it. It did. Roger Goodell and the NFL appealed the suspension, which, of course, that appeal will be heard by Roger Goodell in the NFL office. So, relatively sure to be successful. It will, and I will make another statement of fact, it will lead to a lawsuit. Deshaun's camp and likely the NFLPA will indeed file a lawsuit against the NFL saying that the suspension is inappropriate.
I was going to ask you under what ground? Inappropriate in what way?
They will likely, although this is a guess, but they likely will say it is some sort of discrimination. They will say that precedent was set for the suspension because of violation of the personal conduct clause by the Ben Roethlisberger scenario. Correct. Times 23 or 30 or whatever. That's what the NFL said. In fact, here, I'll let you hear it first. This is Roger Goodell Speaking out after the appeal was filed to a group of reporters, here is how Roger described what the NFL how the NFL is handling the appeal.
Well, as you know, it's part of the CBA. The two parties had that right. Either party could certainly challenge and appeal that, and that was something that we thought was our right to do, as well as the NFLPA, and we decided it was the right thing to do.
Why go back to seeking the full year suspension?
Because we've seen the evidence. She was very clear about the evidence. She reinforced the evidence that there was multiple violations here, and they were egregious, and it was predatory behavior. Those are things that we always felt were really important for us to address in a way that's responsible.
So Roger Goodell basically says, look, the NFLPA signed on to the plan that is in place, which allows the NFL to appeal to itself in situations like this. And that is correct. It is something that I fully suspect when it comes around in however many years from now will be addressed once more in the new negotiations for the collective bargaining agreement. So we'll find out. But for now, the appeal is justified. It is legal according to the CBA the NFLPA signed. It does not mean that the lawsuit will not have merit. It will. They will argue that Deshaun Watson's case, remember, the NFL included in their case 4 women. Deshaun's going to argue, wait a minute, Ben ultimately got 4. Deshaun got 6. We were fine with that, as it is an egregious violation. We were fine with that. But now you want to go all the way to a full season. The precedent does not exist for that. The precedent is not there. The NFL is going to argue that, well, this is an unprecedented case. This is a case we have not seen anything like in the past, and therefore it is going to get a punishment that is also unprecedented. That's the direction we're going to go in. So I'm intrigued to see how this plays out now, because I think Goodell's got a point. Deshaun, though I do not agree with the point, Deshaun's side has a point. It does not mean that that point is going to be upheld, but we'll see. But that is where this whole thing stands. That's what Roger Goodell had to say about it in the audio he dropped on reporters that we just played for you. It ultimately comes down to Goodell says there were more egregious violations of the personal conduct policy than anybody we've ever tried under this disciplinary method before. That is why we feel a more substantial suspension is justified. Deshaun's folks are going to say, wait a minute, you can't just willy-nilly start making up punishments under every different personal conduct violation, because it basically allows you to just kind of make it up as you go, right? And the NFL is going to say, right, but this is unprecedented. So we'll see how this plays out. All right, we're not going to do a ton on that because I've been gone for 5 days and we have a lot to catch up on. When we come back here in just a minute from right now, the first preseason coaches poll is out. Clemson is ranked in a spot that I think Clemson fans should be happy with, as ranked by, a bunch of dudes who are supposed to know football. South Carolina also gained a spot inside the top 50. Where did they rank under Shane Beamer in year number 2? We're going to tell you about that coming up very shortly. And while I decided coming back, not a lot of pop culture today. I got to catch up on all the sports we missed. I was alerted to yet another Hollywood remake that is coming down the pipe. Lonzo knows what I'm talking about already. And yes, I am going to complain about it loudly. Very loudly. Lonzo, Rob, The Rob Brown Show, this. Here's the Fan Upstate. All right. Hey, stream. Glad to be back. Thanks for coming to hang out with me. Missed you guys. Generally did. About 2 days in. 2.5 days. First 2 days, I won't lie. First 2 days, I was like, this is great. About 2.5 days in, I'm watching Sports Center on TV in the room, and I'm like, man, I want to talk about sports. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was good, really good. Or maybe that was like the 900th take, and they're just like, forget it, we got a deadline. Let's just go with it. Met Hurricane Jeff Friday. A couple other people said they were going to come down and say hi, but Jeff comes down, and because T2 left,
Yeah.
his son was done.
Yeah.
As soon as he left, the Viking Raiders came out.
Oh, bad timing.
Yeah, so he missed.
That was a fun little match with Kofi, too.
It was. But he came down, if I remember right, he came down, introduced himself, and then Roman's music hit. And it was like,
Yeah.
forget it. There's no sense to try to talk. My ears were sore for a couple days. There wasn't as much pyro there as there was when Raw was there, but what there was very, very
Yeah.
strong.
Well, that's because. Did you see the whole Sami Zayn angle on it?
Yeah. Didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Of course, you couldn't hear it, and didn't get to. I should have went back and watched the McAfee's Telestrator.
Hilarious.
You could see it, but you couldn't hear it.
Yeah. He when they kept doing the replay, every time it connected, they played a different ridiculous sound effect over it. It was hilarious. And McAfee was losing his mind. It was great.
Well, that's the other thing. I watched him a bunch.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see what he did during break.
He's super animated.
Yeah. Especially when Shinsuke came out.
Yeah.
And he was up on there. He had his foot like against Cole.
Oh, yeah.
Hilarious. So I guess that's not done. I thought that would have been done, but I guess not. Or is he just going to make fun of Corbin a bunch?
Bum-ass Corgan.
Yeah. And then there were also some people. Actually, it was. I don't know why. My bad, Josh. There's also some people there who tried to do AEW chants, and it's like, okay, it's just a group back in the corner.
Yeah.
It's like, idiots, you paid for the tickets that you got because I know you're in the paid segment, and you're chanting unless AEW paid you to come there and
Yeah.
chant AEW, it's not catching on. Shut up. I mean, it just it's those. Wrestling is the place for some people to get heard where they're never heard, and
100%.
and to give yourself a sense of power if you can get a chant started.
Skrilla's asking if your mic.
Yeah, I turned it back on. He's also on delay, Rob, because I even mentioned it. You know,
Skrilla, appreciate it, buddy. Good to be back.
he like hears every third word that I say, so it's cool.
This one features their breakfast quesadilla and comes with Cinnabon Delights, a hash brown, and even a coffee. Get your Bell breakfast box today at a participating Taco Bell location near you.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Ups.
The Rob Brown Show on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. Day before I left, I went downstairs. Boss called me down. Big boss called me down. Well, both bosses called me down. Got in the office. He goes,
I know Big's kind of. Anyway, go ahead.
subjectively.
Yeah.
Big boss, both big bosses call me down. Like, have a seat. I'm like, oh, no. I'm going on vacation tomorrow. Big boss goes, listen, just to get the weird out of the way, we want you back. We want 2 more years, right? We want you back before you freak. Because you can ask Lonzo, I am the king of worst case scenario. Come to my office.
I would like to say that I rival you, but the thing is, only when you're not around, I rival you. When you're around, I got to spend time bringing you back up or down or wherever you're at, saying it's okay.
Yeah, I got the email from the big boss on Monday that's like, hey, tomorrow, 12 o'clock, my office. I'm like, oh, damn. Told the girlfriend, I'm like, I might need you to ask your boss if she's got another job for a photographer open.
I got to tell you, I've never been in that office unless I was in trouble or someone else was, ever.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, I've been called out a bunch of times. And more often than not, it's like, all right, we got this project we're working on. We need you involved in. We're doing this, blah, 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 blah. He goes, before anything, because I know you're going to freak out, we're keeping you on board. Like, we want you 2 more years. I'm like, great, awesome. Let's do it. Then he goes, I do have 1 complaint. I'm like, all right. Well, at least I know I'm still working here. I can hear complaints now. I'm good. And it goes, can you please stop yelling into the microphone so damn much? Hey, boss, it wins us awards, man. Wins us awards, my guy. You know? So, yeah, but I thought you liked the Crystal Trophies. Anyway, I'm back. 2 more years. Join us on our live stream. You can go to one of 2 separate destinations in order to be a part of that. The first is going to the Fan Upstate Facebook page at facebook.com/TheFanUpstate. All one word, no spaces. At The Fan Upstate on Facebook. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate. You can also go to YouTube, search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show. Click the like button, the subscribe button, whatever button you want to click, and follow The Rob Brown Show. You can actually watch the stream live and come behind the scenes with Lonzo and I. During the breaks, we chat with the stream off the air, and in that conversation, pretty much anything goes, right? It's all up for grabs. Anything goes on the stream. So go to facebook.com/TheFanUpstate or go to YouTube, search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show. We would love to have you. All right, let's get to this. The first coaches poll. Now, this one is far more informal than the one you're going to get during the season. But the preseason USA Today coaches poll has come out. It was drawn from 65 head coaches at FBS schools. The panel was chosen by a random draw, conference by conference plus independents, from a pool of coaches that indicated to the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association, that they were willing to participate. Each coach submitted a top 25. It's a point system. A first place vote is worth 25 points. A second place vote, 24, third, 23, and on down to 1 point for being ranked 25th in this USA Today coaches poll. Here's how it's stacked up. Number 1 in the country overall, 1,634 points with 54 of 65 first place votes, which, I'm bad at math, is most of them, like by a lot, most of them, is, of course, the University of Alabama. Second place, checking in just behind Bama, is Ohio State University with a whopping total of 5 first place votes. Now, here's the interesting thing. 5 first place votes may not sound like a lot out of 65 available. Lonzo, there were only 3 teams that received any first place votes. 3 teams in total. No, I lied to you. 4 teams in total because somebody smoked the Ricky Williams and gave Texas a first place vote. So there were 4 teams that received a first place vote, and one of them was Tejas, which means that somehow, somewhere, Steve Sarkisian was like, I think we're going to be pretty good here in Texas. Bama got 54. Ohio State got 5. The only team outside of Bama that got more first place votes than Ohio State checked in behind Ohio State in the rankings. Number 3, Georgia, got 6 first place votes. Ohio State, 1,564 points. Georgia got 1,542. So a grand total of 22 points higher than Georgia was Ohio State. And checking in 4th with 0 first place votes and with nearly 200 points worth of difference between them and number 3, which is not a surprise, is Clemson. Number 4, coaches have them in a playoff spot preseason. Clemson in the AP USA Today coaches poll gets 4th, a playoff spot, but
Rob, that team was horrible last year. How in the world could they be ranked that high with as bad as they were last year? I mean, people pulled their flags down, put their magnets away. They want DJ to hit the transfer portal.
And don't tell me he's being facetious because we've heard that.
How in the world are they ranked 4th? So you're saying all that panic from
why.
all those people it wasn't warranted?
Here's what I said.
They're not done?
Oh, no. For the record, let's not let Clemson being in a playoff spot, let's not let that overshadow the fact that there is between Ohio State and Alabama. Now, again, not a math whiz. In fact, I'm actually quite bad at mathing. But between Alabama and Ohio State, that's number 1 and number 2, there's a grand total of 70 points worth of difference, right? 70 points. That's effectively, I don't want to say it's nothing. It's basically 2 first place votes and a second place vote, right? Then from number 2, the 1564 of Ohio State, down to Georgia at number 3, there are 22 points of difference. 22. Then from Georgia down to Clemson, 186 points, right? There is a bigger gap from 3 to 4 than there is from 1 to 3. And the only point that I'm using this to make is the point that I made, I think, 2 weeks ago when I was setting up for the vacay. That point being, hey, the reason Clemson is number 4 is twofold. Number 1, they're still pretty good, right? They're still pretty good. It's a good football team. Got a lot of talent, a lot of skill position. That's a good football team. But the second point is parity is bad. Scratch that. Parity is good. Parity is non-existent, is the way I should put it. Parity is non-existent. Effectively, what the coaches are telling you here is the only reason Clemson is in a playoff spot here is because it's a 4-team playoff, because there are three teams that can win it. Now, that is not to say, right? That is not to say that somebody from 4 to 20 can't jump up and get it, right?
You know, most years, though, most years since the playoffs been instituted, it's been a 3-team race.
Yeah.
And that 4th team gets a bunch of hype and no one believes for a second that they got a shot at it.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Every now and then you'll get a startup. But since the inception of the playoffs, it's been a 2 or 3 team race every year from the beginning, from the get. And the coaches believe that's the case again this year. Now again, these are coaches. This is not Rob Brown, right? We did, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago? We took a look at the media preseason poll, and it was the exact same way. Alabama was the runaway favorite. I think the media had Georgia 2, Ohio State 3. But either way, you get the point, right? You get the point. those three teams, there is a smaller gap from 1 to 3 than there was a 90-point gap from 1 to 3. And then there's a what was a 220-point gap from 3 to 4 from Georgia to Clemson. Parity is non-existent in college football. Now, somebody's going to make some noise, right? It might help. Clemson could at number 4. If DJ Uiagalelei has put it together, as a number of folks with eyes on that are not Clemson homer media have put in, he's looked good this offseason. He's lost a bunch of weight. We heard 15, 17, maybe 20 pounds. We had Don Munson, the voice of the Tigers, on at ACC Media Days. Don said he's lost upwards of 30 pounds of fat. Just got shredded, right? If DJ is indeed a better quarterback, if he learned his lesson, got humbled up last year, Clemson could be the team that jumps into that 4 spot and genuinely has a chance. But whether it's them, Notre Dame's 5, Michigan is 6, A&M is 7, that's about where I kind of drop off. Lonzo, Utah is number 8. Anybody want to throw Utah as a dark horse Vegas bet to win a title? Because I don't. Oklahoma is number 9. And that's not a shot at Brent Venables at Oklahoma. But let's be real. That is a lot of turnover. That is a lot of turnover. They just lost another coach this weekend, Kay Gundy. We're going to talk about that later in the show. Baylor, number 10. Oklahoma State, number 11. Oregon, 12. NC State, 13. Michigan State, 14. Lincoln Riley's new squad, USC of the SoCal persuasion, 15. 16, 17, and 18 are Pitt, Miami, and Texas. Texas, the only one out of all these teams that's not Bama, Ohio State, or Georgia to get a first-place vote, which just means Steve Sarkisian voted in this poll. Or somebody else from the Big 12 did, trying to make their conference look better. Wake Forest is number 19. Wisconsin, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Arky, Mississippi, Ole Miss, and Houston round out your top 25. Lonzo, do you want to place a flyer that anybody below Texas A&M from 8 down even has a chance, even can be justified as a dark horse natty contender?
Not right now, no. I mean, right now, if you really look at it, it's probably more of a 2-horse race because Georgia has lost a lot of players. They should be up where they are because we're going to see how good the coaching staff really is. But Ohio State and Alabama have the hype for a reason.
I think that Georgia's going to be very good this year. I think it's going to be much more of a challenge than it was for them last year, right? I'm a Clemson believer this year. I think Clemson can be very good. That being said, Clemson's going to have to be close to perfect to get into that group with Georgia, Ohio State, and Alabama. I'm not saying they can't. I'm saying they're going to have to be if they want to make it into that group. There's a lot of work to be done, yeah? Like a lot of work to be done. And because there's a lot of work to be done, the parity in this is basically 1 to 3 for me. And by the way, Bama got, as I mentioned, 54 of the available 65 first-place votes from the coaches. Now, double-edged sword, coaches being anonymous. On one hand, they have the opportunity to be far more honest, right? They don't have to sign their name to their ballot. It remains anonymous who they voted for. They can be far more honest. On the flip side, they also have, in the way that the playoff is set up, with strength of schedule still mattering, they also have a justifiable reason to maybe give a little bit of extra cushion to the teams in their conference so that their conference looks better when the season starts. That way, if they run through the conference and go, wait, preseason, we had X teams inside the top 25. So take it with a shaker of salt. Take it with a shaker of salt. But as I mentioned, when it comes down to it, parity at this level is not great. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. I have one complaint. I have one thing non-sports that I got to get off. I mean, it's I don't know. It's not non-sports. There's an athlete involved, right? There's an athlete involved. So I'm going to say it's justifiable. Also, I just got back from vacation, and this thing has been stuck in my craw since like Saturday. So yeah, one segment. Let me go back to sports. It'll be worth it. Stick around. The great Lonzo's on the ones and twos. My name is Rob Brown. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
All that teasing, and we won't have any time.
Yeah, it'll be real short, right?
In Major League Baseball, Austin Riley with a 5 RBI night, including a go-ahead 2-run single in the 11th to lead the Atlanta Braves to a 9-7 win last night in Boston. In college football, the Big Ten is close to finalizing a new media rights agreement that will add CBS and NBC to their lineup, ending their partnership with ESPN. Their current deal with ESPN and Fox is set to expire in 2023. The SEC is set to move exclusively to the four-letter network as part of a 10-year agreement beginning in 2024. In the NFL, Commissioner Roger Goodell spoke Tuesday, saying the league is seeking a tougher penalty for Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson because his actions were, quote, egregious and predatory behavior. Watson was suspended for 6 games on August 1st. Download the Odyssey app and search for the Fan Upstate. Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Jason Marks, and that's your Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
From the Ingles Market Studio. 97.7 FM Greenville.
97.1 FM Spartanburg.
And on the Odyssey app.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different how? Sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
Turkish soccer team Akhisarpor suspended 8 players from their team. And initially, they just announced the suspension, but not why. It was because those 8 players ate the baklava of the club president. They ate their owner's dessert, and so he suspended them for a match. I love the vindictiveness of that.
You know, I mean, you have rules. You may think that you're above those rules. You break those rules, and you pay for it. And baklava is really good.
But then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Tired of companies like Google and Facebook watching everything you do online? There's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more. All for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with a push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
A sinking foundation can cause you to make quick decisions that could be wrong. Travis Bedson, owner of C&T Foundations.
Many of our clients come to us after a bad experience with another company. From high-pressure sales techniques to misinformation, we've heard it all. If you're facing foundation problems, take a breath and take time and get a second opinion. We offer
for people who are tired of being tired.
Check out what I just sent you on Twitter.
I've never woken up like this before. A melatonin-free sleep aid made with a botanical blend that contains clinically studied and effective valerian root, hops, and passion flower, shown to help promote better restorative sleep. ZzzQuil Pure Z's restorative herbal sleep. Sleep this good, feel this good. Available at retailers near you.
Handsome Kirk Cousins. Walmart Kirk Cousins. Long. Black Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins' cousin. Fantastic. Well done to that guy.
And kind of right. I mean, you know.
All right, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on this either. Just slamming a bunch of stories out of the way since it's been a minute. It was announced last week. I think Amazon Prime has done a pretty good job with the content they've offered. I think Amazon Prime, you know, they did the Critical Role series. They did a handful of others. I think Gray Man wasn't Gray Man. I don't know. Whatever. They've done some good stuff. But it was announced last week that they are, God, I hate this word, reimagining Roadhouse. One of the best movies ever made. Right? Like one of the best movies ever made.
Oh, I completely agree. I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
Yeah. Roadhouse remains great. Sam Elliott's amazing in Roadhouse. Patrick Swayze is Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. Roadhouse. It's so good. Well, they have decided to reimagine Roadhouse, according to Barstool Sports. And in the place of the original cast, they have decided to place Jake Gyllenhaal. And don't get me wrong, I like Jake Gyllenhaal. And Jake's done some good stuff. A little typecasty, but, you know, he does some good stuff. And making his Hollywood debut, Conor McGregor is going to be in Roadhouse. A reimagining of the 80s action pick Roadhouse. He joins a cast that includes Billy Magnuson, Daniela Melchior, and a bunch of other people I don't know. All right? Anyway. I don't know, man. Like, but just why?
All right. So when it comes down to it, I don't care who's in it. Just don't make it. I mean, you can put The Rock in it. It's still just leave it alone. There's some movies that should have been left alone. Point Break should have been left alone. Ghostbusters should have been left alone, at least as far as the women go. There's a lot of things that should have been left alone, and they don't leave it alone because they see a chance to make money. Yeah, leave it alone. Just don't.
Yeah. Like listen, there's a very short list of perfect movies, right? The Godfather 2 is on that list. Saving Private Ryan is on that list. Tombstone is on that list. It's a very short list of perfect movies. As far as I'm concerned, Roadhouse is on that list. Roadhouse is a perfect movie. It hits every angle that I need it to hit to be a perfect movie. It is a perfect movie. You don't need to remake the perfect movies, right? I'm not even mad that Conor McGregor's the one here. First off, I just don't need Roadhouse.
At least you know the fighting will be realistic with him in there. I mean, there's that.
Sure. If you're gonna make a fighting movie, I'm fine with Conor McGregor being involved. I don't want to give the guy another time.
Maybe what if he punches a guy at the bar and that guy beats him up? Would you be okay with it then?
I mean, yeah, except for we all know that Conor McGregor only punches old men at the bar. like
Irish mobsters who would have lost face if he acted like it phased them.
Anyway, Hollywood. I honestly don't mind reboots when the reboots are good. There have been some decent reboots. I don't mind a reboot. You do not need to remake perfect movies, and Roadhouse is the perfect movie. You damn sure don't need to make it with Conor McGregor. Text line's open 71307. Give me your thoughts on that. Do you want another Roadhouse, and do you want Conor McGregor in it? Quick break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. 2 hours left right here on the Fan Upstate.
You know, as someone who works with a lot of youngins, I got to say that there are a lot of people out there who have no idea what
Roadhouse is?
Yes.
Sad day. Sad day in America. Sad day when you don't know Roadhouse. I knew one guy who only watched Roadhouse because Family Guy did a running gag about it. And then they were like, that movie was actually good. Yeah, I know it's good. It's perfect.
Owning a business comes with pressure. There's a limit to what I can do and still keep employees engaged. Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put 30-plus years of HR experience to work to help me with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance, while giving my employees competitive benefit options. And because I'm able to focus on other priorities, my employees can thrive and my business can grow. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Now, CBS Sports Radio.
On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville, 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Parkenburg.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
FanUpstate.com.
Ray Magliocchi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Fill up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
When it comes to closets, Janina's home organization business runs tip-top tidy. But she needs to reorganize and find a new assistant. Indeed can help her hire great people fast. Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
I just left a lawyer speechless.
For God's sake, do not search Back to the Future. You know what? I wouldn't even be mad with a Back to the Future remix. Where like, think about it. If they did a Back to the Future remix, where they went to the 80s, right? The 80s were 40-plus years ago. I could do a Back to the Future remix where they went back to the 80s. I'd be fine with it. Like, I'd even be cool. Get Christopher Lloyd to do Doc Brown again. I'd be fine for a Back to the Future remix. The only problem with the Back to the Future remix is how many plot holes you just inevitably create by having people jumping timelines. Because what was it in? Was it in Back to the Future 3? There were in the Old West there would have been two. No. Which one was it? In one of them, there's somebody wrote out a description where there were 3 DeLoreans in one town at one time, which meant there were 2 McFlys and 2 Doc Browns, I think, and 3 different DeLoreans. But like, I'd be down for a Back to the Future remix.
But not a reboot, right? Not like a reimagining. Like you can play it as a sequel where they go back to the 80s.
Yeah, you could do that.
You could do Biff's Kid or a whole new bad guy.
Tried that stuff before though, and it just hasn't worked. I think is that a true sign that you're becoming old when you're upset about remakes?
I saw a very interesting paper that I think might be true. That said that 33 is the average age where people stop enjoying contemporary pop culture. Like 33 is the age where most people start going, my stuff was better than what's coming out now, as opposed to like updating themselves with what's cool. And I think that's probably a fair age. Like I said, that was probably about the time that I started being like, all new rock and roll sucks.
See,
with rare exceptions.
See, I get it from music and I get it from movies to a certain degree, but I don't get it for technology. That's one thing you'll never say, oh, the tech back in my day, VHS was so much better than Blu-ray. No.
Like it's not a discussion. Cell phones are better. Entertainment tech is better. Like, my life is better with new tech. But music and movies and TV shows and all that, I don't even know if TV shows holds up. Because I'm now halfway through Ted Lasso season 2, and I'm like, it's a great show. But movies and music, I would say definitely around 33 was the point where I was like, my stuff was better than what's coming out.
I don't know. There was no Marvel back in my day.
Right.
You know?
Fair. And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Our numero dos starts right now. The Rob Brown Show is on the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. How do you do? Great to be back with you. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is at the helm today. Thrilled to be back after a nice, long, rejuvenating, reinvigorating vacation. I found a story during the break that I love. I'm not going to make a segment out of it, but I did want to tell you about it. There was some news that came out of a Turkish soccer league that one of their professional sides, Akhiyaspor, I'm sure I'm butchering that, but Akhiyaspor is a Turkish football club that announced yesterday that they had suspended 8 of their players before their next match. Suspended 8 of their players, including a handful of starters, from their next match. And nobody really knew why. And then 4 hours ago, the reason why broke. The owner of the club suspended the 8 players because the 8 players ate his baklava. They ate the owner's dessert without permission. They ate the owner's dessert without permission, and the owner was like, yeah, no, we're not having that. We're not having that. Y'all are sitting for a match. I will take an L in the next match because you ate my dessert without permission. Now, Lonzo, have you ever had baklava?
I have, but I haven't had 1% baklava. So you've had a different grade of baklava than I've had. And if you own a soccer team, you're probably in the upper half of the 1%, the 0.5%. So his baklava is probably even better than what you've experienced, which is like 100 times better than my baklava. Was it worth it? How good was that baklava? Is it worth losing a game over as a player? Is it worth being suspended over?
First off, I'm going to tell you, if I walk into the room and there's baklava on the table and it's good baklava, I'm eating it. All right. There's like one situation where you're leaving baklava on the kitchen counter, I'm not eating it, and that's if it is the very last slice of baklava, and I know it's the lady friends, right? She loves her dessert.
I've only had it from a pizza place, and it was given for free because the owner likes my wife. So, I
Fair.
mean, because she's really nice and all that kind of stuff. So,
She is. Miss Lisa's the best.
yeah. So they give, sometimes a place, if you order a lot, they'll give you a little something extra.
Yeah.
That's the only place I've ever had baklava before, but I really like it.
Baklava is delicious. It's a pastry dessert, and in the middle of it they put whatever stuffed. They'll stuff in there like honey and sweet nuts or some sort of like cream filling. Baklava is fantastic. To the point that I guess this owner's like, I will eat an L for you jerks eating less of my. Could you imagine this happening in any American professional sport? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. Raiders Giants set to kick off here in just a few minutes. Of course, the breaking news of the day, if you have not tuned in yet, the Las Vegas Raiders are missing 8 starters from today's game, all suspended for eating Mark Davis's baklava.
Let's see. It doesn't work. Mark Davis eating baklava. I just don't. I can't.
Oh, come on.
No. You can't have hair like that and eat baklava. Although he is kind of Bond villainish, so maybe.
Yes, he is. He drives the same white cargo van he's been driving for 30 years. He cuts his own hair to save money. I guarantee you that guy eats baklava. And I don't blame him. Baklava is fantastic. I'm just saying.
I wonder if this stuff could have been gold plated because a trend lately for rich people, you know it, but other people don't, is to gold plate your food a little bit.
I'd say I've never had any interest in gold plated food. I've seen it become a thing, and I don't care. I've got zero interest for it.
You know what happens with gold plated food?
Rich people eat it.
It becomes gold plated poo.
Yeah, it does. Is it worth a suspension from the squad? All right. I just found that hilarious, and I thought some of y'all might as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it. Phone line's open. 844-FAN-PHONE. 844-326-3663. 844-FAN-PHONE. 844-FANFONE. You may also shoot us a text on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, and we will read them on the air. You can also shoot us a tweet at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo Onward, at Lonzo Onward, or you can tweet everybody at The Fan Upstate on Twitter, at The Fan Upstate. All the different ways for you to get in touch with the radio broadcast today. Let me throw this out there. We cover the NBA. Ordinarily, we cover the NBA more in season, specifically as we get towards the end of the season. But sometimes stories happen that are just so big, I'm like, I got to talk about this. Or, in this case, so damn ridiculous that I've got to talk about it. In a face-to-face meeting this past weekend, it was reported by a number of outlets that Kevin Durant told Joe Tsai that he does not currently have faith in the direction of the Brooklyn Nets. You'll remember that he requested a trade from Brooklyn hours before free agency started. Nothing has happened that has suggested that trade is happening yet, although there are some teams that seem to still be reaching out to the Nets, expressing their interest in the All-Star. But the story came out this weekend that in a face-to-face meeting in London with the owner of the team, the former league MVP reiterated his stance that he still wants to be traded, but did put an option on the table. The two-time world champ told Joe Tsai, the owner of the Nets, that he would have to choose between him or the dog. Scratch that. I mean, between him or head coach Steve Nash and GM Sean Marks. Shams dropped that one on us. Durant said he doesn't have faith in the franchise's direction and put down the ultimatum that it is me or it is your current head coach and GM, but one of us has got to go. Now, to his credit, Tsai responded by tweeting, quote, Our front office and coaching staff have my support. We will make decisions in the best interest of the Brooklyn Nets. Of course, Durant has had the Brooklyn Nets as a Vegas odds-on favorite to be NBA champions every year he's been there, and every year they have imploded. Durant is clearly blaming Sean Marks and Steve Nash and saying, they go or I go, it's your pick. My question here, Kevin Durant is one of the best, Lonzo, 3 players in the NBA at the worst?
Yeah, at the worst.
You can make an argument that Giannis Antetokounmpo is better than him. Who else would you even put in that spot? Can't be LeBron anymore. I love LeBron, but it can't be LeBron. It can't be Anthony Davis. It's not Jason Tatum. It's not Jaylen Brown. Devin Booker, maybe? I don't think he's there yet. I think Kevin Durant is at the worst, the second best player in the league.
I mean, some people might say Steph, but all around, no.
You know I love Steph, but Steph ain't better than KD right now, right? Not as an all-around player. So my question here is, if you're the NBA, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, and you've got arguably the best, at the worst, the second best player in the National Basketball Association, and he drops it's me or the dog on you, are you making the move? Is Steve Nash a goner because you've got, at worst, the second best player in the National Basketball Association saying he goes or I go, when you know that getting a guy like KD is hard, and in today's NBA, keeping a guy like KD is arguably harder, right?
All right, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Here's what it comes down to. If you allow this, I mean, we've heard supposedly LeBron gets coaches gone, that some players get coaches gone, but it hasn't been out in public, I want this guy gone and he's gone. This is a step you cannot take in the NBA. Yeah, the players have power, but when you can say, you know what, I don't like the big boss down the hall. He's not the big boss. If you don't get rid of him, I'm out of here, and I want him gone. You do that in any other place of employment, it's not going to work, and you're probably gone. It shouldn't work here either. If it works, then what's going to stop the next team guy on the next team going, you know what? I don't like my coach. I want him gone or I'm gone. You can't allow that precedence to be set.
You know, I think that's the reaction that all of us have out the gate, right? I think it's the reaction all of us have out the gate. You can't let a player have that. But here's the thing. In today's National Basketball Association, in fact, I had this conversation literally in the pool with a guy from Naples, Florida, and a guy from Barcelona, Spain this weekend, right? Guy from Barcelona, big NBA guy, rocked a LeBron Cleveland jersey to the pool. That's how the conversation got started. I was like, hey, a Bron Cavs jersey. And he turns around and through his little bit of English and my minimal Spanish, we got through a conversation about the NBA. And we talked, the Kevin Durant story came up after it broke. And the conversation was, today's NBA, players do not necessarily have, and that's not to say there are none that do, but as a rule of thumb, players don't have the loyalty that they used to have. Players don't have the loyalty to fan bases that they used to have. Now, it's not to say none of them do. Giannis Antetokounmpo very clearly has a loyalty to the Milwaukee Bucks. It may not last his whole career, but he's got one right now. Dame Lillard has loyalty to the Trailblazers, right? The Blazers have done nothing with one of the best 10 players in the NBA his entire tenure there, and he still re-upped to stay in Portland. So to say that there's no loyalty is a lie. There clearly is, but it's not like it used to be, right? Guys jump teams all the time. And that's why I said, it is very difficult to get a guy like KD to join your team, because a guy like KD, his options are pretty much every team in the league when they're a free agent, right? It is even harder to keep a guy, because if a guy's not 100% healthy and at this point competitive for a ship, for a ring, those guys will go somewhere that are. The whole premise of super teams was not because these guys really want to play with their totes BFFs in the NBA. The point of the super teams is they want to win a championship or 4. And guys want to be on competitive teams. So if 3 or 4 of them can all go to the same team, that team instantly becomes a competitive team. Now they are on a competitive team. And if they are on a competitive team, they're happy. So it's not just about getting a guy like KD, but it's building a team around him that is going to be competitive to the point that he wants to stay there. My gut reaction was, screw KD, right? Get him out. Send him on his way. But the reality is, if you keep Steve Nash and you keep Sean Marks as the GM and you send out KD, even if you get a haul for that guy, which you would, but even if you get a haul for that guy, your team is still going to be worse, right? Let's say, here's the best trade I can come up with off the top of my head. And frankly, I don't know that I want it to happen. But right now, you could probably get the Pelicans to send you Brandon Ingram, an all-star caliber player, Larry Nance, a very good player, and 3 or 4 young guys who built a strong core, Jose Alvarado and a few others. You get a haul from New Orleans because New Orleans would pair KD up with with Zion and CJ McCollum. That's a big 3. If Z stays healthy, that's a big 3, right? But then I thought about it. Even if you sent B.I., Nance, Alvarado, and a couple of others to Brooklyn, are the Brooklyn Nets better? My argument's no. Because B.I. is not as good as KD. I love Brandon Ingram. Guy can play. And he's an unselfish as hell player. I love the guy. But B.I. is not as good as KD, right? You're not going to be as good. And so the question becomes, if you're the owner of an NBA team, what is goal number 1? To make money. But what is goal number 2? To win. Because nothing makes you money like winning. A team could be nationally hated, but if they're winning titles, they're still going to make more money than anybody else. Everything is wrestling, Lonzo, and who are the most popular wrestlers of all time? The bad guys.
See, but here's the problem with that. I get what you're saying, but this is a case where attitude is going to go over talent. Because if you're a team, do you want Kevin Durant to play for your team? Yeah. But do you want to bring him in knowing if he's becomes disgruntled by something, he's going to call out the GM and the coach everywhere he goes? Is it worth that headache? He has just put this on the table now, and he's already been a problem as far as social media goes and things like that. Now he's publicly demanding the firing of 2 people over him. Why would you bring that guy in? Why would you bring that guy in? Yeah, can he help you win a championship? Only on a team that's already loaded. Has he ever won a championship on a team that was not? No, he hasn't. And he may be the best basketball player in the league, but he's also bringing out more baggage every time he talks. Why would you want that?
Because it will make your team better, even if it's only for a couple of years.
Will it? Well, is it guaranteed a championship? Only if you have a stacked team.
I didn't say it was guaranteed a championship.
So it's not worth a headache.
What's the last team that won a title that wasn't a stacked team? Milwaukee?
Probably.
And then who else?
That's probably about it.
Yeah. Right? That's it. It's Milwaukee and it's nobody else, and that's really it, in my opinion. So the answer is, it doesn't guarantee you a damn thing. but it gives you a better chance to win a title. It does. If Brooklyn makes the trade and keeps Nash and Marks, do you think that Steve Nash is considered one of the best coaches in the NBA right now?
I think,
Despite the drama.
I think Steve Nash hasn't been given a chance. He's had to deal with so many different things. He hasn't had a full roster. He's had to deal with controversy. He's had to deal with I don't know if he can coach or not.
Right.
I don't know.
Do you think KD's a good basketball player? If I ask you right now, what do you trust more next season? Kevin Durant to be a great basketball player or Steve Nash to be a great coach? And you got to bet a paycheck on it. Which one of those two things do you think we're going to bet on? Kevin Durant's performance as a player or Steve Nash's performance as a coach?
Steve Nash. And here's the reason why. Because if Kevin Durant doesn't get what he wants, I think he sits out. And if Kevin Durant doesn't play next year, then of course he's not going to be. Steve Nash is going to be a better coach.
So there's no chance you get me to put a paycheck that Nash would have a better year as a coach than KD as a player. No, it's not happening.
So you don't think KD is sit out?
No, I don't.
See, I do.
I don't.
I do. He's put that down on the table. If he doesn't get what he wants, this guy will sit out.
So here's where I come out on this. At the end of the day, your job is to win basketball games, and it's to win basketball championships. Kevin Durant, you know what Kevin Durant is? Kevin Durant's the lead cheerleader in high school. Kevin Durant's the Victoria's Secret supermodel who happens to live on your street. And the head cheerleader, the Victoria's Secret supermodel, lives on your street. They got every dude in the school chasing them down, right? And every dude on the school will do whatever it takes to make that head cheerleader happy just for a shot at going to the prom. Just for a shot at going to the prom and for the fun that happens after the prom, right? That's what this is. To the point that you might turn down 3 or 4 or 5 girls next door who are outstanding wife material down the road for a shot at maybe the cheerleader giving you an invite to prom and an invite to the back seat of the limo after prom, right? That's just the reality. So you are willing to do things. You are willing to do things that you wouldn't do for anybody else in order to make the hot chick happy. That's just what it is, right? So Kevin Durant being the hot chick, if you are the theoretically New Orleans Pelicans, yeah? If you are the New Orleans Pelicans and KD goes, you know what? I'd come play with Z and CJ, right? We'll go with the all letters trio. Z, KD, and CJ. I'd be willing to play with that threesome. Your team just became a championship contender. Yes or no? If Z's healthy and lives up to the standard he set before his injury, if CJ plays as well as he played towards the end of last year, and if KD is happy in being Kevin Durant, are the Pelicans a championship caliber squad?
I can't say that for sure.
I
can't.
can.
Because even with that, are they a better team than Golden State was when Kevin Durant was there?
I don't know, but even if they're close, they won too, right? We don't give the credit to Kevin Durant for it, but they won too with KD.
They had to have KD to get past LeBron.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But you got to have a KD to get past the Giannis right now, right? You got to have a KD to get past Anthony Davis if he's healthy next year for the Lakers. You got to have that guy. So the answer is, yeah, you do whatever it takes to make the head cheerleader happy, even if you know it's a risk, right? Because here's the reality. You take the head cheerleader to prom, maybe she likes you. Maybe you do all the things you said you never do. You show up and you wash her car, you do her laundry for her, you cook her dinner, you spend money you ain't got on the jewelry she said she wanted, and you do it all for a shot at the head cheerleader. And what do you know for a fact? You know that she's fickle. She's fickle, and what she wants and loves today, she might not a couple of days from now, and somebody else will do better. And she gonna leave you for that guy. But you got a window. You got a window where maybe you get the invite to the back seat of the limo. Maybe you get the invite. And if you get the invite, it's better than you had a shot at before. So you do all the things and you spend all the money and you do all the degrading stuff that she wants you to do to be happy for a chance. If you're the Nets, Sorry, Steve Nash. I appreciate you be willing to do this experiment. Sorry, Sean Marks. I know you tried to build a trio, and you did a damn good job in doing it. But at the end of the day, you guys are the girls next door, and Katie's the head cheerleader. And I got one shot to get her to prom. I'm taking it. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show. This is The Rob Brown Show. Right here on the Fan Upstate.
Rhythma.
Be right back, stream. All right, amigos. I'm back. Let's see here. What do we got in the chat? All right. Hey, the Fonz. I'm glad I'm back too. Fonzie, thank you very much, man. Rich, thank God Rob is back. Rich, I appreciate that, buddy. I'm glad to be back too, man. I miss you guys. I really did. It's nice to have a job that you enjoy doing, so I'm glad I'm back. Let's see. Skrilla said, welcome back. Morning, buddy. Good to have you. Trey said, what is Star Wars night for the Triumph going to be like? Well, first off, I know that they're handing out, I don't know what they look like. I haven't seen them yet, but they're handing out replica lightsabers that are green and blue in the team's colors to wave in the fan section. That's pretty rad. I know that the TIFO, the big banner they hang before the game, will be Star Wars themed. I'm sure the DJ will be pumping Star Wars remixes as the hype music. That's pretty rad. It should be a good time, Trey. Should be a good time. If you come out, let me know, man. I'd love to have you. In fact, I think I'm going to have an extra ticket to the match. So if you want to come and you're rolling solo, just let me know. I'll get it for you. No worries. Let's see. Skrilla says, what is a bad movie? Pardon me. What's a bad movie from the 80s you would reboot to make it badass?
Masters of the Universe.
I'm mad about that. You know what I would like? I would like an updated Flash Gordon movie. But what athlete from today do you make Flash Gordon?
The Rock.
I can't do The Rock in everything.
Why not? He is in everything.
Are you pumped about Black Adam?
Absolutely.
I love The Rock, but I just don't know Like it's not striking me. And I wonder if it's because I just don't trust DC movies anymore. But I'm like up in the air about it for some reason. Let me think about that, Skrill. That's a good question. We might have to do that later. Will said Jerry Jones and Dan Snyder would suspend players from eating their baklava. You're probably not wrong. Ben says Jerry Jones is more likely to put baklava in the Ring of Honor than Jimmy Johnson. Keegan said, you bring Kevin Durant in to sell tickets. He's a media storm. Doesn't matter if you win. Owners want to sell tickets. Yeah, that's part of it. But again, you sell more tickets when you're holding the trophy, right? So even if you know Kevin Durant's a 3-year guy and he's going to jump again, that's 3 years you've got one of the best players in the league to make a run. It only takes one. Will said, apologies for being off topic. What does your guitar rig look like? What are you rocking? So I've got 2 guitars that I play right now. One is a Hamer. And I'll tell you the truth, I don't know a bunch about it other than I've got a trio of humbuckers in it that I'm in love with the sound of it. Problem is the neck of that guitar broke, and I haven't found somebody to fix it yet or replace the neck. That is the next music project I have. But my go-to, the one I play for shows, is my 50th anniversary Fender Stratocaster Fire Truck Red. And right now, I just got it a handful of weeks ago, but I'm playing through an Orange 40-watt amp. I'm going to tell you right now, Orange amps are probably the best value amps I've ever found. They're a little bit more pricey than just picking up like the same caliber Fender amp, but I can manipulate my Orange amp to give me the best, I play a thick crunch because I play 80s rock, right? So I play a very thick crunch, and that Orange amp gives that to me like no other. I've played Fender amps, I've played Marshall amps, but my Orange is the best amp I've ever owned for the sound that I'm going for. If you play like a more jazzy style, a little thinner of a sound, it's probably not the right amp for you. But if you're playing like a crunch rock, it's absolutely the way to go. Absolutely the way to go.
You should talk to T2 about restoring, because he just restored an entire guitar and put the entire thing up on our Facebook.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'll go look at it. I don't want anything done to the hardware in it. I just need a new neck put on it. The problem is Hamer necks are A, tough to find, and B, when you do find them, they're expensive. It's like the same price as buying like a brand new guitar in some cases. But I love that guitar paired with the Orange amp is the best sound I've ever had.
Next time they'll slam it into the drum set at the end of a song.
I didn't. In fact, I don't actually know. I don't know how it happened. Like, I put it in my guitar to go to practice, and when I got to practice, the neck was snapped. It was in the case. Like, I don't know how it happened. Broke my heart.
A heat thing, maybe, or something?
I don't know, because it's at the nut at the top of the neck, like where the headstock connects.
Mm-hmm.
Just snapped. All right, one last take on the KD thing, and we move on. Keegan said, you bring in a guy like KD to sell tickets, he's a media storm. Doesn't matter if you win, owners want to sell tickets. And that's a correct take. But like I said, KD gives you a better chance to win a natty than any other player that is available right now. Honestly, maybe any other player in the league. And as Lonzo pointed out correctly, if he's happy, right? We have all done, a lot of us have done really dumb things. And it doesn't have to be for a woman. Texter said, look, another host using relationships as a sports reference. You know why we do that? Do you know why every sports host goes to relationships or movies?
Every's kind of general. I mean,
sure.
Every sports host on the Fan Upstate
is fine. As a dude who listens to a lot of radio from around the country, I would be comfortable saying the majority of hosts fall back to movies, TV shows, music, or women, or food. Do you know why? Michael Stathakis pointed this out to me, and I think he was spot on when he did it. He said, at the end of the day, there are only a small number of things that every human being experiences, right? Some of the most quiet, solitary, hermit people I know have music that they love, they fall into. Everybody eats food, right? And the overwhelming majority of us have been in or in and out of relationships of different types throughout our life. So the easiest way for us to illustrate our thought in a way that we know we are going to connect with a vast majority of people is with things that are universally experienced. Entertainment, music, relationships, and food. Those are pretty much the four. There might be more I can't think of off the top of my head. But those are pretty much the four universal experiences. Entertainment, music, food, and relationships. That's why we go into that. Anyway, the point is, the best way to sell tickets is to go, we're the number one seed in the playoffs. The best way to sell tickets is to go, we are defending our championship this year. I don't care what team you are. If you are holding on to we used to make jokes about the Atlanta Braves, right? Because the Braves, for years, when they were a mediocre team, you'd watch night games in Atlanta, and when big teams like Boston or New York came to town, they'd have more fans than the Braves at Braves home games, right? But now the Braves are the World Series champions, and ticket prices are up about 30%, 35% from what they were last year, and they're harder to find, right? Harder to find. KD as a rental for a year or two gives you an infinitely better chance to win the Natty than not having him. And infinitely is dramatic, but you get the point I'm making, right? You will do dumb things to get the head cheerleader to go to prom with you. We have all overpaid to try the best steak in town. We have all spent money we don't have to go to see a concert of a band that we love, right? Because I can go to 100 bars in the upstate any given night and find live music. But the Foo Fighters only come around once in a while. So I spend good money on them. That's just how it works. That's just how it goes. So anyway, that's enough of that. Point is, yes, I like Steve Nash. I thought Sean Marks did the best he could with a volatile situation. But at the end of the day, if you are asking me, do I want to keep my options open with the two girls next door that live on the street that may or may not turn into good wife material? Or if I want to make an absolute loser of myself to get a run at the Victoria's Secret supermodel, I'm making the run.
So
maybe you make her happy and she sticks around.
So you've talked about what you would do. What do you think will happen? Do you actually think they're going to fire Marks and Steve Nash? Because I don't.
The owner came out with a tweet that said they have my full support. Have my full support. Votes of confidence don't mean a damn thing in sports, Lonzo. You and I both know that.
Oh, that's absolutely true. But if they do remain there, what happens? Does KD play? Does he not play?
He's not.
When you say gone, do you mean traded, or do you mean retired, or what if they don't trade him?
Here's the thing: if you don't,
would you trade him?
Oh yeah.
See,
if I was genuinely committed to Nash and Marks, I trade KD, and here's why: KD is going to get you the biggest haul in trade terms, the biggest haul in NBA history. He is going to get you more than any other player has ever been traded for. And if the end of the day, my job is to field a good team, and I really believe, and this is why I let Nash and Marks go, if I genuinely believe that Steve Nash was the next Greg Popovich, right? If I genuinely believed he was the next great head coach in the NBA, then yeah, I'd trade KD for an absolute haul. But I don't believe that. I don't have a reason to believe that.
You know how you break a tantrum? Just let them tire themselves out. Let him yell, let him scream, keep him under contract. If he doesn't want to be on the court, fine him. I mean, you've got to make a stand somewhere. What you just pointed out how he's either number one or number two in the league. You're not going to get value back for him that you should. So just make him play. Or make him pay fines and sit out.
Again, KD's very rich, and he's got other things going for him.
Fine. Some other team is not going to win with the guy who's under contract for us.
I agree. You're not going to win either. Because not only do you not have KD playing, you also don't have the...
By the way, it's Brooklyn. They weren't going to win even when they brought all this together. It was not going to happen.
I don't know, man. If I can replace Kyrie Because listen, players still want to play with Kevin Durant.
In your lifetime, do you remember the Nets being really good?
No, but I also don't remember them having a Kevin Durant. That's not true. They had, damn, what's his name? Not Jason Kidd. Anyway, they've had players in the past.
I believe Jason Kidd did play for the
Yeah.
Nets. He also coached for them, I think.
Yeah. I mean, they've had good players, but they've never had KD. They've never had the best player in the league to build around. Yeah, make the move. Sorry, Nash. Sorry, Marks. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for all you've done. But if it's them or the prom queen, I'm taking the prom queen. That's my shot. That's my shot at glory. Even if it's only once, it's my shot at glory. It's a story I'll talk about for the rest of my life. Till the next prom queen comes around. But they ain't a whole lot of them. It can only be one prom queen. All right. I didn't want to do that again. But we had takes. I had to respond. That's what we do. Texas says, welcome back, Rob. So glad you are back to tell me about what should happen at the end of the day. At the end of the day, we all got our crutches, don't we? Don't we? Texas says, no, Rob, that would just be you that spends an ass load on steaks. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. A good steak is worth its weight. All right? We've all done it. Well, if you haven't done it, you should. Steaks are the best. Let's take a break. When we come back, Will Shipley did not get an opportunity to practice in the spring because he was dealing with injury. Well, the Greenville News got a chance to get some sound from him. We'll hear what Will Shipley had to say about coming back from his injury just in time for fall camp when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Finalizing a new media rights agreement that will add CBS and NBC to their lineup
The Astros had all
Oh, can't you see? You've been lost.
night in the 13th. Now the scoreless game under baseball's new extra inning rule finally.
Way to go, Rob. Ben said Little Shop of Horrors. I don't need Little Shop of Horrors to be
Feed me, Seymour. You'll be a dentist.
Oh, that movie's great too. I don't even know the last time I watched that movie.
Why'd you retire, Rick Moranis?
I know. Didn't you just basically say I'm tired of it and I want to go home to my kids?
Yes.
I can't hate a guy for that.
He also got punched in New York.
He did.
Yeah.
Who hits Rick Moranis?
Some dude who didn't realize it was Rick Moranis, I guess. Or maybe, you know. I don't know if they ever found the dude. There was video and everything of it. Knockout game. That's what that was. I was trying to figure out what that was. Yeah. Really stupid.
A couple of weeks ago, we had DJ Uiagalelei on the show, and one of the guys that I specifically asked him about was Will Shipley. Clip number 2, our friends over at the Greenville News were able to catch up with Will after camp. And we're going to start doing camp breakdowns very soon. Anyway, got a chance to talk with Will Shipley. Of course, Will had to miss most of the spring camp due to an injury. Will Shipley was dealing with a toe injury, had to have surgery on it. We asked DJ about the guy because I said that the game last year that really gives me a good feeling about Clemson this year was the Florida State game. A Florida State team that was kind of feeling themselves a little bit came into Clemson and played Clemson to a really good game. What busted that game open, what won that game for the Tigers ultimately, was that DJ Uiagalelei and Will Shipley got on the same page. They found their chemistry. And when they found their chemistry, when they got on the same page, that offense became good. They were rolling for like a minute, especially deep in the game in crunch time when lesser teams would have folded. Those two guys put it together. So it's interesting. Anyway, the Greenville News caught up with Will Shipley, asked him about getting going in fall camp now that they're in a spot where he's able to get out there and practice a little bit. Here's what Will had to say.
You know, I hate being sidelined, from anything. So to sit, kind of sit on the sideline. Hey, watch Phil Moffa do work last spring. I mean, holy cow, that dude put in the work, and he progressed at a different type of level. But it was tough. I'm just out here thanking God for the opportunity to put one foot in front of the other, get better with a great group of guys. Yeah, it's just better than last year, to me, and whether it's off the field, spiritually, on the field, catching the football. I mean, there's so many different departments that you can improve on every single day. And that's what it was for me, especially being out in the spring. I knew that I had areas to improve, so I focused on those daily. Did the work, kept my head down, and coming out here the best version I've been, so I'm happy.
I love hearing that from that dude, because I think that dude might be the single most important factor of this offense this year. I think that dude might honestly be more important to this football team than anybody except DJ Uiagalelei. I think last year when he and DJ found a rhythm, found a groove in that FSU game, the two of them bailed this team out. The two of them were the reason that team was able to hit that chemistry in that game and finish and win that game. That'd have been a 9-win game if it wasn't for the 9-win team if it wasn't for those two dudes in that game against FSU. And when Shipley became what he became towards the end of the season and opened up the offense like he did towards that point of the season, when they hit that spot, when they hit that roll, it got to the point that DJ had, frankly, less pressure on him, right? You could not send guys off the edge after DJ every time. Because when Shipley was able to get into a wheel route and catch the football, and you just heard him say, one of the things he wants to improve is catching the football out of the backfield. He was good at it last year, and he wants to be better. When you have that type of player, it's a Christian McCaffrey, it's an Alvin Kamara, it's a Reggie Bush. When you have that type of player, that is the type of player that opens the field up for your quarterback. And the one thing DJ needs is just an extra little bit of time to make that decision. When he's got the opportunity to sit back there and make a decision, he throws a better ball. We've all seen it. So, Shipley saying not just that he wants to get better, but the things that he mentioned he wants to get better at are things that he's already pretty good at, right? That's got to excite you if you're a Clemson fan. I've told you guys, I think this team's good this year. Are they beat Bama good? No, but that's not a shot. That's not a shot. I don't think there are any teams that are beat Bama good, all right? I don't know that this is Saban's best team, but it's certainly got an eye on looking like it is, right? It's got an eye on looking like it is. So, with that being said, I think it's fair to be optimistic if you're a Clemson fan, which is interesting because surprisingly to me, it feels to me as if Clemson fans are genuinely, I don't want to say pessimistic, but almost apathetic right now, right? Like almost apathetic in this point. It's not so much that they don't think they will be good, but that there's just kind of very ho-hum about the team right now. Met a few who are very excited about it. I'll tell you, the Clemson media that we've interacted with the different events is super excited. But so am I. I'm not bashing them for it. So am I. I think this team's good this year. I think the biggest problem Clemson has is that the top three teams right now, Bama, Georgia, and Ohio State, are just head and shoulders above everybody else, at least what it looks like based on what we've seen in the preseason so far. So, with that said, Will Shipley pointing out that the things that he wants to get better at are the things that he was already pretty good at last year. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Because that's the guy that opens up the floor for DJ to be good. Jordan McFadden in the offensive line, Will Shipley being as good as he was last year, makes DJ better because they open the field up for him. I'm excited to see how that kid looks. We'll start doing fall camp breakdowns the rest of this week. Moving forward, guys, we are inside a month till the season. Rob Brown, Lonzo, 1 hour left to go. We'll hit it hard when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Even back. Welcome, Betty. Welcome. Appreciate that. What was the rub to water consumption ratio? Surprisingly, I did pretty good, to be honest with you. I never went overboard. I found that at 37, going overboard tends to hurt a lot more than it did at 27. I don't bounce back like I used to, buddy.
Overboard for some is way overboard for others, though.
Correct.
So he's still being kind of vague.
I
didn't need to be helped back to the room.
Oh, correct. I
Okay.
never needed assistance. How's that? I never needed assistance. I didn't hurl at any point. How's that?
QC connects in first break.
Pardon me. Glad I got that out before we got started. The third, the fight of the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello! Upstate South Carolina. I am so glad to be back, my friends. Good to be with you. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is in charge of the radio broadcast today. If you like it, he gets all the credit. If you don't, he gets all the blame. My guy is the quarterback of this particular radio broadcast. It happened while I was gone, so I know I'm a couple of days behind everybody else, but Vin Scully passing away. I was actually watching the Dodgers game that was on against the Giants when that news broke. And, we've talked about celebrity deaths and sports deaths in the past that have an impact on us. It's not that Vin Scully passing away had a huge impact on me. I mean, it certainly did. Just like we weren't thinking about Vin Scully, right? We weren't thinking about Vin Scully. Vin Scully was not at the top of our thoughts when he passed away. Vin Scully was 94 years old, y'all, right? Like 94 years old is not a point where you're like, oh, what did he pass away from? Hey, he's 94. He passed away from being 94. Here's what I will tell you. I've been in this game 15 years. Coming up on football season this year will be 15 years I've been broadcasting. I was 22 when I started. And there are radio guys that personally have an impact on you. And then there's radio guys, if you're in this line of work. Then there are radio guys that have an impact on all of us, right? There are radio guys that have an impact on all of us. And Vin Scully, I think, was maybe the biggest name in that group. Vin Scully was the textbook, right? Vin Scully was how the job gets done. When it comes to calling play-by-play, and I've done it before and I'll do it again. In fact, as a matter of fact, in 9 days, I will be on the call for the very first Burns Rebels football game of this season as the new voice of the Burns Rebels. I'm very excited about it. I love football. And I love doing play-by-play. I think I've told you guys on the air before. I told the bosses when they hired me. Number one goal for me, down the line, is to become the voice of the blank. fill in with a large D1 school or NFL, NBA, MLB team of your choice. To become the voice of something. I am very, 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 very proud and pleased to be the new voice of the Burns Rebels. Excited about it. Vin Scully was the masterclass, right? If there was a how to do radio play-by-play, it would just be Vin Scully highlight tapes. And that's it, and nothing more. For those of you that still listen to radio calls, and I know there are a lot of us that do, right? One of the things I'm excited about the new NFL Plus app is the fact that you are actually going to get live audio feeds of the home and away teams in every NFL game. Because while I love the Tony Romos of the world, local guys calling their team, there's just more energy to it, especially when it's your team, right? So Vin Scully was the textbook. Vin Scully was the masterclass. Because Vin Scully did the one thing they tell you to do when you get started in play-by-play, which is what? Paint a picture with your words. It is not just about Smith lines up at quarterback, he's in the shotgun, Jones to the right, split receivers to the left. Play starts with a naked boot action to the left. Receivers cross routes, there's the That's well and good. We want to know what's happening. But you want to be able to see the game, right? You want to be able to see it in your head. I want you to talk about what the coaches are doing on the sidelines. What are the fans doing in the crowd? What is the band playing? What color uniforms are they wearing? So I can picture it. Vin Scully was the best. And for him to be able to do it for as long as he did it, for Vin to not only do it, but to be the best at it for as long as Vin was the best of it, is impressive as hell. The fact that to this day, you can listen to baseball radio play-by-play guys or TV guys that either have stories of I met Vin Scully and blank, or I listened to Vin Scully calls when I was putting this career together. And you better believe I'm in that number. I'm in that group. To have a dude that did it for well over half a century, this guy did it. To have a dude do it for half a century and to be the best at it from start to finish is insane. That's a hell of a legacy. Hell of a legacy. I was watching the end of the Giants-Dodgers game the night that Vin passed away. And when they broke in, and I feel bad about it. I wish I would have written it down. But the two guys that were calling the game, I was listening actually to the Dodgers local broadcast, their TV broadcast. And the two guys that were telling the game effectively turned into them just swapping Vin Scully stories and then, forcing in what was happening on the field in between. And these dudes were full-grown men, like breaking down in tears about how important Vin Scully was to them in their career and what they do. Those of us that do this job will tell you, while you guys kind of see the glamour and the fun part of it, right? So, and I love this job. We get to come in here for 3 hours a day and just goof off and be ourselves and talk sports and get paid money for it. It's amazing. What you don't see is the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of prep and work that goes into making sure that we are as good as we can be in doing it. Then, when you're a baseball play-by-play guy, you add on to the fact that Vin Scully has to travel to away games like 90 games a year. That's insane. To be that good, to be on the road that much, and to, for 50 years, be the best at it. If you want to see what I'm talking about, maybe you're not as familiar with Vin Scully as I would like to hope that many of you are. And listen, he was a West Coast guy, right? Calling Dodgers games. Most interaction you get around here with the Dodgers is when they meet the Bravos in the playoffs. Go to YouTube and just search Vin Scully clips. 50 years of them available on YouTube. And listen to that guy call a game. Shut your eyes and listen to that guy call a game. You can see the game in your head. But more importantly, you could hear the human being talking about it, right? It wasn't just that. It wasn't just that Vin Scully was talking about the game the way he was talking about the game. It was that Vin Scully was a human being and a guy who loved baseball talking about baseball. Not just talking about baseball, but talking about his team playing it. You're lucky to fall in that spot, right? You're lucky to fall in that spot. So as far as I'm concerned, there's something to that. There's something to that. Vin Scully is the GOAT. It's one of the times that I will not accept the so far logo from Lonzo on top of the GOAT label. Because Vin Scully was the GOAT. Vin Scully remains the GOAT. And no matter how good the next guy is, they will be that good based on Vin Scully putting the textbook together on how to do it, right? There are elements to Michael's game that LeBron added to that Mike didn't do. Same with Kobe. There are elements to Tom Brady's game that he has added on to that Montana and Young didn't have, but Brady does. There is nothing left to add on to what Vin Scully was. There's nothing left. There were stories about Vin going down into the Dodgers clubhouse and pulling aside the rooks from those Dodgers teams and going, hey, man, welcome to the club. I want to get to know you, right? There was one guy, I cannot remember who it was. I wish I could. There was one guy, an international player that came from, I believe, Venezuela, who said that when he got to meet Vin for the first time, Vin Scully already knew his family, right? Knew his dad, knew his mom, knew his siblings, knew who they were, knew where they were, knew what they did. And the reason Vin did that, aside from the fact that that was just Vin, from what I understand, never met the guy, wish I would have. But the reason Vin Scully did that, away from just that's probably what Vin felt was the right thing to do, was that when he talked about this kid playing a game, right? You watch baseball. Breaking back foot, slider, strike two. And now I got 38, 40 seconds to fill until the next pitch. And if that is a non-hit pitch, I got 35, 40 seconds. You got to talk about stuff. And Vin wanted to be infinitely familiar with the guys on that team. So when it was time to fill those 35, 40 seconds between pitches, he could talk about those guys as if they were his kids, as if they were his own family. Because what feels better in that 35 to 40 seconds than to have intimate knowledge of the dude that you were talking about? Where he's from, who his parents are, what they do. The trials and tribulations he faced growing up to become a big leaguer. What he's been up to since he's been a big leaguer. What's his favorite food? These are all ways to fill in that gap. And it's more than just, there's strike two. Got a lot of wind coming in from left field tonight. Really playing havoc on the guys that are opposite field hitters here. Right? Like, all right, cool, man. Like, tell us all that. But give us a little bit more. And Vin was the best at that. Vin was the best at that. I'm deadly serious. When you get a minute, when you get a chance, go to YouTube, pull up old Vin Scully highlights. Does not matter the game because he was as good 30 years ago as he was 10 or whatever his last game was. Go pull him up. Go listen to him. Go listen to Vin be Vin and tell me that that dude did not set the bar when it comes to having that headset on. If I ever move up from Burns to whatever D1 school or NFL team down the line I get a crack at going for, which I hope that I do, if I ever get that opportunity, everything that I will try to be as a play-by-play guy will be based on Vin Scully. I'll try to be me. I will be me. I will be Rob Brown. You guys know that. But the X's and O's of how to be that are based on Vin Scully. Go to YouTube, listen to some clips. Tell me I'm wrong. All right, let's take a break. 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. You can also get at us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, 71307. Start your text with FAN. When we come back, massive television deal going down for one of the Power 2 conferences. It will be the fuel for the next round of expansion. I'll tell you what that deal looks like and why it matters to you when we come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
Grab back stream. Got to do an endorsement. Don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Remember to join us on our live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate or go to YouTube, search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show. You can watch Lonzo and I do every stream live, go behind the scenes, have conversations with us off the air that are exclusive to our off the air followers on the live stream. Facebook.com/thefanupstate or go to YouTube and search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show. I got a trade proposition for the Carolina Panthers. We found out that the Bears linebacker, Roquan Smith, who I am a huge fan of. I think this dude is a dude, man. He can go. Well, we found out that Roquan Smith has requested a trade after contract negotiations between himself and the Chicago Bears reached an impasse. Smith wrote a statement that he posted to social media not terribly long ago. And Rappaport went out and retweeted it on his account. That's where I found it. Where Roquan Smith said, to the city of Chicago and all Bears fans worldwide, I officially requested a trade. Just writing these words is deeply painful. He goes on to talk about how he was a homegrown Bear, that it was a dream come true to put on that Bears helmet and the jersey, to come from the linebacker facility that is the Chicago Bears. He's talked about being a Bear for 4 years and how important it was to him, but that at the end of the day, that he feels, quote, the new front office regime doesn't value me here. They've refused to negotiate in good faith. Every step of the journey has been a take it or leave it. The deal sent to me is one that would be bad for myself and for the entire linebacker market if I signed it. I've been trying to get something done that's fair since April, but their focus has been on trying to take advantage of me. I wanted to be a Bear for my entire career, help this team bring a Super Bowl back to our city. However, they have left me no choice than to request a trade that allows me to play for an organization that truly values what I bring to the table, end quote. Now, he does go on to say that if he gets the opportunity to sit down with the McCaskey family, that he believes that, quote, maybe they can salvage this, but as of right now, I don't see a path back to the organization I truly love. I hope and pray you can all understand, and I'm deeply sorry it's come to this. Sincerely, Roquan Smith. So, I got a trade proposition for the Chicago Bears from the Carolina Panthers. And it is this. Lonzo, straight up, Robbie Anderson for Roquan Smith. Your linebacker core in Carolina is not your strong point. Shaq Thompson should be back. He should be fine. You got Damian Wilson playing in the middle. Strong side backer, Corey Littleton right now. None of them bad, but ain't none of them, maybe Shaq, ain't none of them Roquan Smith. At the wide receiver position right now, you got DJ, you got Robbie, you got Terrence Marshall Jr. Behind them, you got Rashard Higgins, you got Brandon Zylstra, you got Shi Smith. It's not the deepest in the league, but it ain't far off. It's pretty good wide receiver core, top to bottom. Robbie has been wildly inconsistent, but he would still be one of the better options that the Bears would have right this second. Their wide receiver core goes Darnell Mooney, Byron Pringle, and Velus Jones Jr. N'Keal Harry's a backup wide receiver right there. Robbie Anderson, if he's not the best wide receiver the Bears would have, at least ability-wise, he's no further down than number 2. Roquan would come in and be the best linebacker the Panthers have right now. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I know you need weapons for Baker. I want the best wide receiver core I can get for Baker. But considering, A, how inconsistent Robbie Anderson has been, and B, the fact that while he has said multiple times it's water under the bridge, remember, Robbie was the guy that when Baker first got discussed as a trade possibility, When guys like me, months ago, were going, make the switch now. Give Baker every single second that he can get in Charlotte learning the Ben McAdoo offense. Go get Bake now. Robbie was the one publicly tweeting, nope, don't want that guy. Not interested. Don't want Baker throwing me the ball. I'm good with what we got. Now, as I mentioned, Robbie Anderson, since that point, has been very much, oh, it's water under the bridge. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. My bad. But here's the thing. I don't know if that's sincere or not. I do know the tweets that were anti-Baker were sincere. There's no need for him to send them out if they're not, right? Can't imagine that Robbie Anderson was like, oh, mind games. Let me trick Matt Rule into not getting Baker by making him think I don't want Baker. That doesn't make sense.
No way I make that trade. If you've watched any video at all coming out of camp, you've seen that there is chemistry developed already between Robbie Anderson and Baker Mayfield, touchdowns right and left. Baker Mayfield's, he's getting chemistry with everybody, but especially it seems with Robbie Anderson. I'm not making that. I think the linebacker core is good enough to get what's expected from this year. If you make that trade, I think you hurt the offense. And the offense is the thing that needs to be of greatest concern right now. So chemistry is starting to be developed between two players, and then you take that away, then you're saying you want Baker Mayfield to fail, and I couldn't do that. Every day we're getting videos dropped of Baker hitting Robbie Anderson with touchdowns, and that's what I think is going to happen when it happens for real.
So I agree with you, and it does look like they're on the same page, which is great. It's also training camp. They're going up in soft contact against the defense. And by the way, the defense has been winning the majority of the battles against the offense. I'm not saying he and Robbie aren't on the same page. They might very well be. And Matt Rule knows this more than I do. If him and Robbie have genuinely developed chemistry that you believe translate into the regular season, then no, don't make the trade, right? Your defense was good last year with the core you got. Your defense was solid.
Not to mention now your defensive backfield gets stronger with J.C. Horn coming back. So so that takes some pressure off the linebackers because those guys don't have to worry about people. Your DBs can help with the tackling. J.C. Horn is an excellent tackler.
Yeah, I agree. If Robbie and Baker, your starting quarterback in week 1, have genuinely developed a good chemistry with each other, like Robbie's over it for real, right? Which he might be. I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying I don't have a reason to genuinely believe that he is.
You know what helps you get over that? The ball coming your way.
I don't.
Receivers are divas. The ball's coming his way. Not just coming his way, but it's coming his way accurately and in a place where he can score.
I agree entirely.
And I know it's training camp, but it starts there.
Correct. It does. I agree entirely. I don't know if Robbie. I would like to point out that the hinge on this is 100% if Matt Rule genuinely believes that Robbie and Baker have let bygones be bygones. Obviously, Baker knows what Robbie said before Baker Mayfield was a Panther. Obviously, he knows what Robbie said. Baker may have shown up, gone to Robbie's locker on day 1 and went, hey, bro, no worries. No worries. I get it, right? I get it. I understand. And it's water under the bridge for me, which makes it easier for Robbie. But we've all seen that awkward situation where dude talks smack about dude and then goes, crap, he's standing right behind me, isn't he? Oh, hey, bro. That was my bad, man. I was just speaking out of emotion. That's my bad. Like, maybe that's the case. I don't know. If they have truly developed chemistry that you believe will elevate them in the regular season, and let Robbie go back to be consistent. But remember, the question for me is about the consistency of Robbie Anderson. It's about the consistency of what he brings to the table.
Well, the thing is, we can't see practice, or we don't have the opportunity to be at practice, so we don't see if there are any drop balls. You're only going to see the things of catches and good catches. That's what you're going to see, except for the exception was in the beginning when Baker first got there and the media was still trying to make him look bad and showing bad balls. Now they're showing the good stuff. Maybe he is dropping balls in practice, but we haven't heard anything about it. And if he was doing that, someone would be writing about it, and I haven't seen that.
Sure. The trade for me, Robbie Anderson straight up for Roquan Smith. Builds that defense up. A defense that was good last year becomes even better with that guy patrolling the middle of the field. Okay? He's an upgrade. No questions asked. Is the upgrade to the defense a bigger upgrade than the downgrade of dropping Robbie? And it 100% depends on the level of chemistry between him and Baker. If Robbie Anderson has built a chemistry that allows him to go back to being the 4K Robbie, the good Robbie, then no, it's not worth the upgrade because that offense is going to be good with Robbie catching the football from Baker if that chemistry's there. But if this is just, hey, it's camp, nobody's trying to really hit us yet. Nobody's really chasing down Baker yet. Nobody's slamming Robbie coming across the middle yet. And therefore, of course, it's easy. I can go right now and run a 15-yard crossing pattern and catch a good ball.
After all that meat, no, you can't.
No, I can't. No, I can't. You are correct. In 2 weeks, I'll be able to go out and run a 15-yard crossing pattern and catch a good ball from a QB wearing no shoulder pads against no defense.
All right,
the question's going to be in week 1 when they line up against Cleveland with a decent set of linebackers across, is that chemistry still going to be there then? And if so, or if not, I should say, then the upgrade to the defense looks much better.
Do fans show up to see a good defense? The fans show up to see touchdowns, and that's what you're going to get with Robbie Anderson and keeping him there with Baker Mayfield. Bringing in Roquan, yeah, it's going to be it would be an upgrade, but you're making one side better while making the other side worse. And I don't think that's a good move.
I get it. It's again, fans show up to see touchdowns, sure. Lonzo, if your team goes 17-0 and they win every game 3-0, you're still showing up. You're 17-0.
Yeah, you just
Might be the most boring damn game you've ever watched, but you're 17-0.
Agreed.
You know, it kind of harkens back to that conversation we had about KD. Your team might be a social media disaster. Your team might constantly be having its drama-filled headlines on the front of every paper. But if your team is a 50-55 win NBA team and a 2 or 3 seed in the playoffs, you're showing up, you're buying merch, you're buying jerseys. If your NFL team wins every game 3-0 and goes into the playoff as a 1 seed, that home stadium is going to be filled out when you get there.
The Roquan Smith thing sounds like a play for some more money. Because when you say if you sit down with the owners, I mean, you go sit down with the owners and go, you know what would make me accept this a little bit more? Maybe a little bit more money.
Yeah. But if he doesn't get it, he's out. And guess who's got money?
Allegedly.
Guess who's got money? Guess who could give him the contract he wants? The Carolina Panthers. With a salary cap that is good right now. They're in good shape. They're one of the few teams that could give him money, actually.
All right, so I don't know if he's on this week, but I am curious what Rashad would think about your trade proposal.
Oh, is he out this week? Is he traveling
No,
again?
no, I don't know. He was on vacation. You were on vacation. So if I recall from the conversation last time he was on, that he would be back tomorrow in time. So I'm curious as to what his answer would be to that.
Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow. We will find out tomorrow. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. We'll run through our last segment. Got a few more stories I want to get to, including this Live Tour lawsuit. Federal judge told the players that brought a lawsuit against the PGA Tour asking to suspend their suspension. Federal judge says, nope, you made your choice. You made that bed, lie in it. We'll talk to you about what that means for golf fans coming up and that expansion with the Big Ten. Tell you that next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Hickory? This is a heck of an effort.
No, I've been doing that when you weren't here. Coming around the corner and making a shot without.
Launching the pop-up 3. The no handles 3. Keegan asked about the Dead Man Show. I have not seen anything about it yet. There it is. Look at him.
I get the Mystique question, but here's the problem, though. I mean, it's a guy. I want to hear his stories. This is a guy who was a locker room leader for decades. I mean, just hearing stories and just watching some of his, like Broken Skull and seeing, you know, the Dead Man documentary and all that kind of stuff. He's got more stories I haven't heard. I want to hear that.
So this is just a storytelling show?
It's a one-man show.
Okay.
Jericho's starting to do that, too. It's stuff we would probably ask them in an interview, and they're just going to, you know, tell us. Yeah.
Can you see this, Stevie? It's taped together one-handed boxing. They tape the left hands together and then punch each other with the right.
Did you just punch him in the arm? Can you punch in the arm, or you just got to aim for the face?
I mean,
the head movement is great.
Oh.
Are you allowed to talk while you're doing that? So I'd be trying to say stuff to get him to keep his head from moving. Yeah, the Ocho was on one day last week.
I heard.
And our cable was out.
I saw it was on.
I was very upset about it because I didn't get to see Slippery Stairs, but I got to introduce some people to Slippery Stairs, including T2. And he's like, "This is a thing."
It's amazing.
Like, yes, it's a thing.
They also did, and I'll tell you, you want to know what I'm really mad that I missed? And it's the dumbest thing. The Excel spreadsheet championships, where they had people input Excel data into a spreadsheet and get points for it, and I missed it.
Wow.
I know.
How exciting would that be? I don't know. The people who are really good at that are really fast, but still. I also saw Bullet Train, was not impressed.
Really? I really wanted that to be good.
Cameron liked it, but see, it could just be me.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt can be pretty funny. It was one of those that should have been better than what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't horrible, but
Just didn't stand out.
I think better writing would have helped it. It's like good punchlines, but they're just too quick.
Yeah.
The fighting was good, but it's too quick. Bad Bunny highlight, but he's good at everything he does. Yeah.
Courtney and I finally watched Gray Man.
Yeah, I haven't watched it
It's
yet.
all right. It didn't blow me away. It was all right.
I'm currently watching Sandman. So there was an episode.
It's a movie, right?
No, it's a series.
Oh, okay.
Episode 5 was just disturbing to the point where I just wanted to turn it off. And it's kind of a progression that happens in a diner.
Yeah.
It doesn't end well, but it just slowly over a couple hours watching what it's just like, this is, I can't, if I'm going to watch the rest of this, I got to watch all of this. But I never watched a comic book, but it's pretty good. It might interest you. I mean, the effects and everything that's involved with it, it's pretty good.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate, just like that. We are on to the final segment of the show. Text line remains open for you all the way up till noon at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, and we will read them on the air. You can also join us on the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, or go to YouTube, search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show, and watch us there. All right. The Big Ten, according to Adam Rittenberg of ESPN, the Big Ten is close to finalizing a new media rights deal that will add CBS and NBC to the league's lineup, though it will end their long partnership with ESPN, according to sources. Rittenberg writes, quote, Fox will remain the Big Ten's main media partner and had representatives attend negotiations with other potential partners during the past few months. The Big Ten's 6-year media rights deal with Fox and ESPN is set to expire in 2023. ESPN and the Big Ten have been partners for football media rights since the early 80s. ABC, which, like ESPN, is owned by Disney, first started televising Big Ten games all the way back in '66. Sports Business Journal first reported the outline of the Big Ten's media agreement and ESPN being out. According to sources, ESPN rejected the Big Ten's final offer of a 7-year, $380 million agreement, which would have included rights to fewer marquee games than the network's current agreement. The offer did not include a direct-to-consumer package, which ESPN valued through its growth of ESPN+. Effectively, the Big Ten said, we're going to give you less marquee games, and you are not going to be able to put some of those marquee games, some of those bigger network games that people want to watch on your direct-to-consumer, your streaming service, right? And I think it's pretty fair at this point to make the assumption that sports as a whole are largely moving towards a streaming setup, right? I was thinking about that earlier this morning when I was reading through this information. Lonzo, every single year, a higher percentage of the sports that I watch are coming through streams, right? ESPN Plus, Fox Sports Go, Apple TV with Friday Night MLB Baseball. Every single year, a higher percentage of the sports that I am watching is coming from streaming. So for the Big Ten to tell ESPN, hey, look, we are not going to allow you to stream direct to consumer. You can pretty much put the games that we don't care about on basic cable. And we want $380 million for 6 years. Of course, ESPN bailed. But at the end of the day, CBS will be broadcasting football games in mid-afternoon, which is the slot that had previously been filled by SEC games. Remember, SEC formed their new contract with, well, ESPN. So basically, they're flipping spots. ESPN will exclusively broadcast SEC games as part of a 10-year agreement in 2023. NBC, which currently carries Notre Dame home football games, likely will have the Big Ten football in the evening window as part of their new agreement. Sports Business Journal reported that both CBS and NBC are set to pay about $350 million apiece for the Big Ten package. So $350 million, and they pick it up. And now the Big Ten effectively owns NBC if Notre Dame comes aboard, right? And this is a pretty big bargaining chip, I think. Because now you can go to Notre Dame and go, look, you are still going to hold your spot on NBC. NBC will still give Notre Dame precedence over the Big Ten. It's just that most of Notre Dame's games are going to be Big Ten games. So when Notre Dame plays, Notre Dame's game, regardless of who they play in the Big Ten, goes on TV. It also allows the Big Ten to put the rest of their teams that aren't Ohio State and Michigan State onto NBC as well, right? Now Purdue v. Notre Dame is going to get its time on the sun. I believe Notre Dame already carried that game, but you get the point that I'm making, right? The Big Ten teams that Notre Dame didn't already play against Big Ten teams are now on NBC. So you can tell Notre Dame, look, we're going to give you a pretty redonkulous TV contract that's similar to the one that you already have, and you will still get your spot on NBC every week, right? You are still the crown jewel of the Big Ten on NBC because NBC also gets to put its feature game of the week out of the Big Ten on TV at night. Now, that might mean that every Ohio State-Michigan game is at 7 p.m. now, but cool. That's good, right? Night football is better if you're a TV guy.
It is not for me. I prefer it at 1 p.m.
Nah, give me that night football.
Well, seeing as how I work every Saturday, I prefer it at 1 p.m. because it's about me.
Fair.
It's not about anybody else. It's my story, so I want it at 1 p.m. so it doesn't interfere with the rest of my day. I think this.
Get onto the horn to the commish, eh? Call old Kevin up.
Yeah, we like that, yo.
So, look. This is not, in and of itself, a catalyst for the next round of expansion. But you effectively, right now, as far as expansion goes, have a Mexican standoff of NBC, CBS, ABC, ESPN, Disney, and Notre Dame. With the other two conferences sitting on the outside, ready to pick up the loot off of whoever gets dropped next. And this deal between the Big Ten and NBC is a really, really, really big opportunity for the Big Ten to make a push at Notre Dame that the SEC can't offer, and that's their only opponent.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
Believe it or not, I have missed a segment because there's been a lot of things trending the whole time you were gone. And all right, so the first thing trending is Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Another week, another check. Vince now up to just a tick shy of $20 million of hush money that has been paid out. If you had any thoughts that maybe Vince was still pulling strings in the shadows, nope, he gone. Because the one thing you do not touch is the bottom dollar of a major corporate empire like that one. And look, it is what it is, man. $20 million, just a tick shy, that Vince paid in hush money out to female workers for WWE at the same period of time that WWE was firing a bunch of very popular wrestlers because of
budget
cuts.
All right, so another $5 million was found, and they're still digging. So, I mean, they may find even more money. And it's amazing how some of those people who were lost to budget cuts, suddenly the WWE has found money to bring them back.
Shocking.
So, there you go. All right, the next thing that's trending is Aiden Hutchinson.
Oh, Aiden Hutchinson. Okay, I saw this earlier. Aiden Hutchinson got up in front of his entire team, the Rook did. And, you know, listen. Hazing is bad when it causes physical harm to somebody. I got no issue when it was just funny and in jest, right? Aiden Hutchinson, as a Rook on Hard Knocks, got up in front of his entire brand new team and had to perform Michael Jackson's Billie Jean. Steph Curry was so damn good at it, the rest of the team joined in with him to finish the lyrics.
Because he was not only singing it, he was into it.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was moving around, and a couple guys joined in, a couple more guys joined in. It's kind of like the scene from Top Gun when they're singing "You Lost That Lovin' Feeling."
Yeah.
Or it's just and then suddenly everybody in the place starts singing it. Yeah, it's like that.
I'll tell you, my guy had the entire. I mean, he was performing Billie Jean, had dance moves and everything, and dude, the team got into it. You love to see it. That's good team chemistry. That's exactly what the Lions have been missing.
You've been hazed. I've been hazed. Doing something like that, I might have been better with that than some of the other things that I had to do. All right, the next thing is trending is Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes is trending because at Chiefs camp yesterday, Patty Ice was seen throwing balls from about 30, 35, 40 yards out and hitting the crossbar, which, quarterbacks will test their accuracy by trying to hit the crossbar of the goalpost. Except for then, he did it left-handed and hit the bar. And then he threw it behind. We've all thrown the behind-the-back football pass, right? 30 yards out, throws it behind the pack and hits the crossbar again. Patrick Mahomes is a cheat code, man.
I hope Tua is practicing now since he's supposedly more accurate than Patrick Mahomes.
You think
Tyreek
Tyreek was watching that video like, God damn it. Come on. You got to be kidding me. I said, but I get it. I get it.
It didn't.
I said,
It didn't.
But I get it.
It didn't sound like it.
Yeah, I get it.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I said, but I get it. And as I say, that text says, I'm glad you're back, Rob. Lonzo was.
Let me replay that to you later, and you can tell me that it didn't sound like what I thought it sounded
I
like.
respect the decision. I said,
Just because the boss is away doesn't mean I ain't pushing that
I
button.
respect it. That one, unlike jumping ship, I get. All right, that's it for us, kids. I'm glad to be back. Thanks for having me. We got 2 more days of this boat show before we take off for another weekend. That's the great one, Lonzo. He of the dump button. My name is Rob Brown, the user of it. We're back tomorrow to do it all over again. Jim Rum's got you up next in the Jungle Bark. Ryan takes you off sides at 3. Have a great rest of your day, kids. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Center of the set, I'm like, yeah, that sounds close. My bad. Sorry about that. All right, stream. Thanks for bearing with me as I found out how to do radio all over again.